Hey guys, it's TF Nut. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're doing a top 10 list. This is going to be of my top 10 most wanted Medicom MAFEX figures I would like to see made for the line. These characters here haven't been made, at least certain versions of these characters haven't been made, and I've just thought it would be a nice list to make, to kind of have a wish list here of stuff I would like to see made. Based on what they've made in the past, based on particular storylines, because when they make some of these comic characters, it's based on a particular storyline, and just kind of personally what I'd like to see made in this line, as well as stuff I think realistically can be made. I have been sitting on this list a little too long to where like some of the original choices I had a while ago, they have already been announced for figures. Most notably, Daredevil was on the list at like number 1, then that got turned to a figure last year, or it got announced at least last year. So yeah, I've been sitting on this list a little too long, and you guys may know my opinion on MAFEX stuff here. I really like the line. I just had some bad luck with quality control. Some minor QC, with some major QC on some figures, but I still really like the line, and a lot of these figures I would definitely consider picking up, especially in the top slots. Like the top slots, I'm like, yeah, I'm totally getting those. So I'm going to go ahead and start with my number 10 choice. Number 10, I'm going to put the original Jungle Hunter Predator at the bottom here. Here's the thing. Some of you might already be thinking, dude, we have a ton of different options already from NECA, not just Jungle Hunter, but tons of different Predators, as well as we have a Mezco 112 Collective Jungle Hunter. So yes, we're not super spoiled for choice there, but the MAFEX line has some really nice 80s action characters that they've had in the line, particularly Terminator and RoboCop. There might be a couple other things I'm not thinking of right now, or those could just be the two there. But to see them working on not just a Jungle Hunter, but any kind of Predator, that would be really sick. They'd be pretty expensive probably because they're pretty tall, but the amount of accessories involved with that, I mean, all these figures are going to come with a lot of accessories and really nice articulation, but the unique accessories for this would be alternate heads. You have the masked one, then the unmasked one, maybe some swappable parts for battle damage, and the weapons also would be really sick. So honestly, you could make the argument for any Predator to be here, or any 80s action character to be at this part here in the list. I just picked Predator because I think it would be a really interesting take to see their type of Predator in this line. Number 9, I'm going to put Invincible, and some of you may be thinking this is a little too low of a pick, but that's because later on in this list, we're going to have some iconic comic book characters that haven't been made in this line yet, surprisingly. I would pre-order an Invincible figure in a heartbeat. I love the series. I need to get into the comic book, but I would absolutely love a good, emphasis on good, Invincible figure, because Diamond Selects ain't cutting it. I am not getting those, and I think McFarlane Toys maybe made some like very low articulated like 5-inch or 4-inch Invincible figures at one point. Those aren't going to cut it. I need that highly articulated 6-inch Mark Grayson in my collection. Different accessories, swappable heads, some battle damage as well here, some bloody parts. I'm wondering, if you guys have seen the Nightwing figure in this line. It has the swappable back, maybe a swappable like front of his chest that has some blood on there. Different hands, of course, and I don't know if I mentioned it, like one of those heads would be an unmasked head. I think that it's really surprising that, with them making the boys, which they're not the same creators, of course, but having a boys line in the MAFEX line when that's an Amazon Prime series and we don't have anything on Invincible, that's really surprising. I'm really hoping that changes as the series keeps getting popular. And I'd love to see some other characters too, but particularly I would love to see Mark in this line. Number 8 is going to be Deathstroke. I don't care if it's a more modern comic version, if it's more of a classic version, if you have to pick a particular storyline, I guess Judas Contract, or, maybe like the Arkham game version. They don't really do video games in the line here, even if it is DC game related. But Deathstroke is a shoo-in for the line. The biggest problem, though, and you'll see this later on down the list with some other characters, is the no guns rule DC has implemented, which is such a stupid rule because you keep writing stories with characters using guns, yet you don't want to put out any merchandise of them holding guns. It's stupid. I don't get it. But it would be a little bit hard to sell this figure without guns. Just give him some trigger fingers, maybe, if they did what McFarlane Toys did and Medicom put out a 1/12 scale weapons pack. That would kind of ease some things, I guess. Detail wise, this figure would go off the charts with all this stuff going on. As the armor, the scaling that would happen, the other weapons you have a sword, all different kinds of stuff there would be really sick. Different heads would include, of course, the masked head and an unmasked head with the eye patch. So yeah, I do think that this could easily be done. It's going to be a little bit harder to warrant buying a Deathstroke figure that doesn't come with firearms. Number 7, I'm going to put a comic Wonder Woman figure. I don't know if it would be more of a classic one or a more modern or more armored up one. I don't know which particular storyline they could do. I mean, they don't always have to do a storyline particular in the MAFEX line. We had just a 90s, pretty generic, not generic, but a general 90s Spider-Man that we have in the line, as well as Wolverine. So maybe just classic would probably be the safest bet. We have a couple of movie Wonder Woman figures already, but it would be nice to see a classic, or again, just any kind of comic Wonder Woman in this line. Alternate heads with different expressions would be great there. We would need a coiled up lasso of truth to have it holstered. Now, I definitely will need a bendy wire lasso of truth as an accessory. That would be really sick. I feel like a lot of people are going to be disappointed if it's not a bendy wire, but maybe it would come with an extra one that is pre-posed, so that way if you don't want to mess around with the bendy wire too much, you could just have a pre-posed one. But at that point, you might as well just commit to the bendy wire there. Either way, though, one thing I think would be important is hopefully, she has her exposed arms and her exposed legs. Skin tone paint, I feel like in this line can get really messy. That feels like that has some of the most really messed up paint apps sometimes, not all the times, of course. Hopefully, the skin tone on this wouldn't be too bad if it gets released. But either way, a comic book Wonder Woman, whether it be classic or any kind of version, would be nice to see finally. Number 6, I'm going to put Batman Beyond here. Now, whether you do the look of the art style of the original series, which they've done stuff in that art style similarly before with, I think it was the New Adventures of Batman MAFEX figure, but also you have some of the more recent comics that you can do here as well. Now, either way, it's going to look really sick. You'll need those wings, different expressions, maybe an alternate Terry McGinnis head as well, different hands too. A lot of stuff that you come to expect with the the MAFEX line when it comes to those different accessories. But I would just love to see just that sleek black outfit looking really cool, nice and muscular. Again, it's going to depend if they decide to do a cartoon one, which I don't know if they can do that. I don't know what legally is up with that anymore, if they can do cartoon stuff anymore. But if they can't, the next best thing is to make a comic version. Either way, I think Batman Beyond would be very fitting in the MAFEX line. Number 5, I'm going to give it to a comic Green Goblin here. Now, whether that be super duper classic, I'm talking 60s with the brighter colors. Maybe something that's a little bit more modern with faded colors and some more, scratched up details or more some teared details on there. Or, we might even get a movie version before I ever get a comic version. But either way, Green Goblin in this line would be super sick. I know we're not super spoiled for choice here. We have a decent number of Marvel Legends ones to choose from, as well as in more recent years, we had the Mezco 112 Collective Green Goblin there. But it would be so great in this line. The Goblin Glider, I'm hoping that they would think ahead and you can use the MAFEX stand and port the glider into the stand so it can fly. That would be so sick. Some effects pieces for that glider would be really cool too. It would be expensive. It would be pretty expensive because of the Goblin glider, but it would be worth it. Pumpkin bombs, as well as some alternate heads, including an unmasked head that would be Norman Osborn that maybe you could put on some MAFEX suit bodies. I don't know how compatible each suit body is with the other one, but Either way, I mean, it would still be really cool to have Green Goblin in any capacity in this line. Number 4, I'm going to put Robin here. Now, we don't have... Hold up, actually, I just remembered. We have the Carrie Kelly Robin, I believe, for Dark Knight Returns. But we don't have, like, the Boy Wonder, you know? We don't have Dick Grayson, which at this point we have Nightwing. We can maybe pass that. I don't think we really see the Jason Todd version often. I don't really know if it would be warranted at that point. You might as well just make Red Hood. So either Tim Drake or Damian Wayne, but I'm going to go with Tim Drake. We don't get that. I mean, a decent amount of Tim Drake representation in different lines, sure, but I just think a Tim Drake Robin in the MAFEX line would be great. There's a decent number of different outfits of him to choose from, whether it be, the more classic look or slightly more modernized. It's probably what I would like to see more. But an arsenal of what, to expect with Robin would be nice. The staff, if it's going to be Tim Drake, as well as, some different specific batterings for Robin, different expressions too. Maybe an unmasked expression, which we don't have an unmasked one for Nightwing though, so I guess it doesn't really matter at that point. But I just think that this would be really cool. Of course, the articulated cape with the bendy wires in it, that would also be really cool to see. Number 3, I'm picking Red Hood. Now, here is the thing before I keep going. Yes, this is probably going to be a hindered release because they're not going to give it any guns, and this character primarily uses guns. As long as they give us, gun-holding hands, I think I'll be fine. I can use some guns in my collection. But it does suck that no matter if they make a Red Hood, we're just not going to get guns with it. That's probably why they're not going to make one, because they can't properly do it justice with DC, holding the back like that. But I mean, come on, we really don't have that many great choices. I mean, McFarlane Toys has done a decent job with their Red Hoods. So we had some 6-inch ones in the past that didn't really cut it too much, as well as stuff with DC Collectibles that was fine, but just wasn't crazy. So I just would love to see a MAFEX 6-inch, super articulated, super detailed, the one we all know and love when it comes to Red Hood. The classic eyes coming out, the brown jacket, it would look so good as a figure, man. Even if you have to give it, I think he used a sword at once, I forget which storyline that is, but even if you have to give it knives instead, and then again, just MAFEX just needs to make a separate gun set that's $20 that you can buy a bunch of guns from there, and then I'll just use that for this. I don't know, man. I would love to see it. That's why it's a little bit lower on the list, because I love Red Hood, but it will be held back by the whole DC legal crap that would be going on there. Number 2, I'm putting Punisher here. Now, I don't know how much they can get away with here if Marvel has the same thing where they're going to hold them back when it comes to the gun releases. If so, that would be absolutely horrible for this figure. This is one of the biggest gun users in comic book history, and it would come with no guns. That would be crazy. But if it can come with some guns, I need as many guns with this figure as possible. Give it the Mezco treatment that we had with those in the past. It would be so sick. And I don't know what look I would narrow down, or what particular story would be narrowed down for this. When you want to go super classic with the first appearance with that skin suit type of outfit, or if you want to go more modern where it's a little bit more tactical in some areas, I don't really know what they would be able to do. I wouldn't mind either way. I think everyone would love, no matter what, just some type of Punisher in this line, even if it's John Bernthal's too. That would be cool to see as well. And to add on that, Netflix Daredevil 2 in the MAFEX line would be pretty sick. If it gets held back by the guns, that would be very unfortunate. But maybe some alternate heads too. Maybe some heads to do different looks throughout the decades, so you can have a more modern looking one. Then you have a classic head there too. That would look great with Spider-Man, even though we have a 90s Spider-Man with the MAFEX line. I'm just hoping that if they ever get to this character, they can do it justice. Again, the idea I propose, if you have to sell a separate accessory pack with guns, so that way we have it here. As long as this comes with gun holding hands, we should be fine, and maybe we can get some guns on our own. But either way, Punisher would be great in this line. And at number one, I'm putting Flash here, a comic Flash. Now, I may have some more favorites that are a little bit lower in this list I would like to see at number one, but I just had to think about what is perfect for this line objectively, and it's got to be Flash. You could, no matter if you have the new 52 version or a more classic version with his, you have an eyes exposed version or the whiteout eyes. Either way, like if you want to do a specific one, Flashpoint, there you go. You have your particular storyline, specific storyline I should say, to choose from. This would look so good. He's got the skin tight suit again to where maybe detail wise it won't be that crazy, but I mean it's Flash, man. You could absolutely nail Flash in this line with some of the lightning effects. You have maybe like an unmasked head or just different expressions you can have, with his mask on, different types of hands. You really need the running hands and then maybe some relaxed hands and punching hands, of course. But I think that this could look so good with your, Hush Batman, Hush Superman, some other characters you could think of. There are a bunch of other DC characters like, Green Lantern, Martian Manhunter, Cyborg, other ones that I just didn't think of right now. But priority-wise, when it comes to the MAFEX line of stuff that we would absolutely need in this line, I had to pick, not only what I think would be my favorites, but objectively what all of us want to see. And I think at this point, it's time for Medicom to make a Flash for the MAFEX line. That's going to be my top 10 list here. Some of you may agree or disagree. That's totally fine. I'd like to know some of your choices down in the comments below. If you have particular versions of some of the characters I've mentioned that you'd like to see, mention that down below as well. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And yeah, I'll see you guys later.